All right, hello everyone. We are going to talk about read and write commands in PowerShell. We're going to first start with the read host command. So basically what this does is you can prompt a user to input something. So in this case, I've just said, please enter anything. So it's read host dash prompt, please enter anything. If I run this, I get a prompt that says, please enter anything. And I go ahead and put in gobbledygook, doesn't really matter. Press enter, nothing's returned. But what happens is that input gets stored in this variable called answer. If I run that, answer has that input. So one of the ways you can implement this into your scripts is making like conversational scripts. So let's say that you made a script and it copies data from one spot to another, or I don't know, turns the screen on or ejects a CD drive, whatever. You can say run the script, and then if the desired output is successful, you can say was it successful, and then the user can say yes or no, or it's a way to give your users options. One practical implementation that I use this for is to make menu-driven scripts. So let's say that there's a problem in our department or in the company where users need to back up their data or users need to do a registry fix, whatnot. And I want to send the tier 2 guys a tool to help their job go much faster. So I'll write a script that basically says starts up, and it says press 1 for registry check, press 2 for data migration, press 3 for I don't know, fix something. And the tier 2 people can take that script, go on the person's computer, run the menu, and then they have this little conversational thing where they can have something that's intuitive to them. And what they're doing is they're just typing in things into the read host command, and then the script then does something different to the input that's given. I'll make a video later on how to make menu-driven scripts. It's really, really cool. All right, the next command we're going to go over is read host. Read host is pretty simple. It's kind of like a just like an echo in CMD. So if we run line 3, it says write host hello, and you get the response hello. Pretty basic response here. One of the other features of read host is no new line. So if you run hello again, you keep getting new lines. But if you run hello again with the no new line switch, you'll see that there's no new line, no carriage return here. So I get a little hello, no space, then my prompt. I've never ever used this. I never found an application to use this with, but let's say you want to write really, really long text to your user on multiple lines. You can just do this. So line 4, line 5 ran together. Oops, not that. F8. Hello, buddy. That's the effect of the no new line there. Read host can also come in various sorts of colors. This is just some of them, and you can access them by going to the foreground color property. And I'll run all these at once. This nice, beautiful array of colors here. And there's this other command called write verbose. I was just checking that out. It's pretty much the same thing. Write verbose. Yeah, let's mess around with that. We'll cover that later. Write output does the same thing. So if you just write in anything, there's a little more under the hood that's happening between write host and write output. Write output you can do a little more with, get a little more complex with, but I'm not going to cover this in the basics playlist. Right now we're just going to do some basic commands. With the write host, you can also edit the background color as well. So the foreground color is going to be the text. The background color is going to be what's behind the text. If we run this, It's going to look like it's a nice highlighted red text. Write warning is is a it's kind of an out-of-box way to write output that isn't desirable in your scripts. So let's say you have a part of your script where you check something, and if it returns anything between a certain range, like let's say, oh, free disk space on the computer is higher than 90%, you can write a warning then to your prompt saying, warning, your disk space is higher than 90%, and you can use this as that. And it's basically a formatted write host. It comes prefixed with the words warning in all caps, colon. It's supposed to be attention grabbing here. And there's another one called write-debug. This one's pretty useful. I've never used it. But basically what it does is it halts your code once you give it the -debug switch, and asks you if you want to continue your code. It's pretty useful if you're trying to troubleshoot a long-running process, or you're looping over many items, and somewhere in that loop you get an error. So between each of your loops, you can write a debug, check some things. If it's okay, you can hit go again. I haven't covered conditional statements yet, but this is a simple conditional statement saying if 5 equals 5. So basically, if this condition equals true, run this code. And it's more clear if I show you the snippets. So that was I wrote if, and I hit tab, and it inserted a code snippet. And it's basically saying if condition is true, run this code. If it's not true, don't run this code inside the script block here. Well, let's say, this is hypothetical conditional statement. 5 equals 5, it's true. We're going to write debug, so we're just going to run this bit of code here. Debug, yes, 5 is equal to 5. Confirm, let's see, continue with this operation. So we can say Y for yes, and I'll just continue running the code. You can halt or you can suspend the code here. Just a way for you to really dive into your code if something's going wrong. And then there's this other write command that's called write error. And if you're, and I'll go over errors in a future video, but writing error writes errors directly to the error variable. So if anything goes wrong in your script, it gets stored in this predefined error variable. And it's actually pretty handy, because if you have some errors happening in your scripts, and then at the end of your script you output everything that's ever happened, or any error that's ever happened in your scripts at the end, then you can read where things went wrong. But let's say you're running a command that doesn't really throw an error, or doesn't throw, and like it's a true statement, like it does transfer something or it does check something, but let's say your disk percentage is 100% full, and maybe that script or that command that returned that value to you isn't erroring, but it's returning something that you really want to know about. So what you can do is you can say, oh my gosh, it's 100% full, and then you can say write error. And what it does is it generates an error with just this method, or this message of whatever you want in the error, and then it's collected in this error object here, right here. So if I keep running this, and then I do a little CLS, clear screen, get a little more space here, and I run error, you can see that all the errors are captured in this error variable. There is another, or there's a method on the error object called clear, and clear does what it says. It's going to clear everything in the error. So if we run that method and then run error, nothing comes back. Another useful way to log things happening inside of a script, a little more elegantly, is writing it directly into the event logs. Now, if you're running something like Splunk that already looks at the event logs for certain events, this is a great way to to integrate your scripting or your script logs into something that's already meant to really crawl the Windows event logs. And let's see, this one's a little long here. Oh, yeah, I guess I don't need that many exclamation points. Okay, but basically what this does is write event log. You have to specify a log name, and we'll just put this in the application log, and we'll just say this is coming from Outlook, and the event ID of 1337, entry type of information, and the message of whatever message you want. So if I run this here, I don't get any output, but what it did, so we go back to the event viewer. I already ran one recently just for testing. But if we go ahead and refresh, we can see that at 4:22, we got another event of this. Look at me, I wrote something to the event logs. Yippee dippy dippy. All done. Okay, so that was just a really quick basic overview of the read and write commands. This is really to show you what's possible with the read and write commands for PowerShell. And all this code will be available in the description of the video. So feel free to check it out, experiment, do what you want with it. All right, thanks guys.